The Computer Geek 0101010001 here, and today we are going to be taking a inside look at a failing Seagate hard drive. Yes, ridding the world of terrible drives one at a time. Oh, guys, there's a wasp. That's a wasp in my computer room. Yeah. Yeah, breaking news. Wasp found in computer room. Yeah. Did not anticipate this. Yeah, if you don't like bugs, well, I'm zooming out. But yeah, here's my little jerry-rigged setup here. Ignore the buzzing, that's the wasp. But yeah. Wasp in the computer room. Rage against the wasp. Not rage against the machine. But still rage against the Seagate. Because I hate Seagates. Yeah, heard that. I couldn't figure out what the heck it was for the life of me. Okay. That's not exactly working out right. Have a couple of screwdriver bits here, but yeah. And this old power supply setup here, so we're going to turn it on. You're going to get to listen to this drive run. Ignore the rough, scratchy type noises. That's the fan bearing in the power supply. It's going bad. But yeah. I have verified that there is no important data on this drive. The last use this drive had was as a quote-unquote data shuttle drive, in quote. Whenever, I think it was with my late 2015, early 2016 main computer setup, where I needed to get, where I pretty much filled up my old 2TB Samsung drive. Yeah. Yeah. This drive is failing, and that has been confirmed by the smart stats. I do have a screenshot of the smart stats. So I'm going to put a link in the video description of the smart stats, and I'm also going to put a photo of the smart stats at the end of this video. If I remember. Because I mean, as of, this is Friday. This is a Friday in June. Taking the cover off. Now, please do not ever do this to a hard drive you care about. Yeah. Let's see how many platters. This is I think it's a 2-platter hard disk. Well, yeah, let's turn this thing on. Yeah, did you see that? Did you see the head move super fast where it appeared twice on camera for a second or two? Yeah, have a look at that again. Now, I could go through the effort to get this drive to the point where I can get a long enough SATA cable connected to it. But the longest cable I have right now, that I believe would be able to span from the SATA port on the motherboard of the computer down under my computer desk to this drive, that would warrant me doing a slight teardown of my main computer, and I am not doing that. Sorry about the camera moving. But yeah. So, here's the parts of a hard drive. So, this right here, what the SATA power and data connectors plug into, that is the controller board. The controller board allows the computer to communicate with the hard drive. Now, some of you older people may already know this, but like UXW Bill, I'm explaining this for my younger crowd of viewers. But yeah. The controller board allows the computer to communicate with the hard drive and read and write data to and from the drive. So like in my main computer, if I were to connect this drive up and write a video to this drive, the controller board would allow my computer and this drive to communicate, and it would allow my computer to copy the video to this hard drive. The next thing here are these 4 pins. I'm pretty sure those are used to program the drive controller. I'm not exactly sure, and I'm not about to find out. This part here, right here, those are the magnets. Those are what help position the head on what's called the platters. The big silver disc that spins. The magnets have very strong neodymium magnets on the other side that are critical to the positioning system of the head, of the read-write heads. These, right at the very end here, are the read-write heads. Now, it may look like they're touching the drive, and you just saw them move. It may look like they're touching the disk, the platters, but they are actually not. They are floating a very, very, very small distance above the platters. These heads should never contact the platters, or else what's known as a head crash will occur. That happens when the heads come into contact of the hard drive platters. This destroys data, and most oftentimes, most, if not all of the data on the drive is lost. Now later on in this video, I will be simulating a head crash failure. Though I don't exactly want to do it with a running drive. And you just saw the heads move again. Now, you may think this whole thing here is the head. No. The read-write... Oops. That almost contacted the platters. Okay, it's mad. That wasp is mad. I think it got caught in a spider web. But yeah. This whole thing, what connects the heads, the read-write heads, to the electromagnet at the very back is what's called the arm. Just like this arm. The arm has an electromagnet on the back of it. Now, you might be thinking, magnets and two magnets together, isn't that going to repel? And you just saw the head move again. Isn't that going to make the thing, make it repel? That is exactly how it works. A 5-volt electrical signal, electrical voltage, is applied by the controller board to the electromagnet electromagnetic coil at the back of the arm, which is positioned between the two magnets. There's that wasp again. I hope that wasp is completely muting me out, since it has a very loud buzzing. And I swear, if that thing gets up and begins to fly, I'm gonna vacate the room. Yeah. So, and there just moved again. It may or may, I think it's running a self-test. I'm not sure. But there's two magnets. But there's two neodymium magnets. One is affixed to the actual frame of the hard drive. And the other one, and the arm that connects the controller board to the platters has a electromagnetic coil at the back of it, and that's resting above the first magnet. It's not contacting it, or else the drive would not function. There's a top magnet that serves to keep the head stable. And now it's doing something weird. But yeah, there is a top magnet that serves to keep the head stable. The top magnet is there to keep the head from crashing into the bottom magnet, B, to keep it floating, to keep it stable when it's floating, when the read-write heads are floating above the platters, and C, to allow the read-write arm with the read-write heads, the arm with the read-write heads on the end of it, to seek more efficiently. So that way the electromagnetic coil does not have to use as much power, and therefore the lifespan of the coil is greatly improved. Well, as long as the drive functions normally throughout its entire lifetime. Well, mostly normally. So, and a 5-volt electrical voltage is applied to the electromagnetic coil that produces a magnetic force that is completely opposite of the magnetic force applied by the two permanent neodymium magnets. Permanent as in the magnetism cannot be removed. Now, that will repel the electromagnetic coil and thus make the arm move, which in turn moves the read-write heads. This component right here is what connects the controller board to the read-write head and the electromagnetic coil at the back end of the arm. I think this drive is running a self-test right now. Yeah, that's running a self-test. Yeah, that's this is a one-platter drive. One platter, 1 terabyte drive, 500 gigabytes per side. So, this right here serves to connect the controller board to the read-write heads and the electromagnetic coil at the back of the arm. Now, this spinning part in the center, is what's known as the spindle head. The spindle head physically clamps the platter or platters, depending on your drive's make and model, to itself, so that way whenever the spindle motor, what spins the spindle head, turns, it will in turn spin the drive platters. Now, the reason why the platters have this very reflective coating on them, that is a magnetic coating. That magnetic coating is what stores your data. Now, each particle can be charged one way or the other. When it's charged one way, it is considered to be on. When it's charged the other way, it is considered to be off. There is no in between. Now, an off is made up by a 0, and on is made up by a 1. Those zeros and 1 are known as binary data or binary data. This binary data makes up your videos, your documents, your pictures, your internet browser and things like that. They're all stored on a very thin coating on the drive platters. Now, groups of these make up what's known as bytes, B-Y-T-E-S. And depending on, and this is getting a little advanced here, so just stick it out with me, please. Now, depending on your file system type and how you chose the drive to be formatted, you may have 512 bytes per sector, 1024 bytes per sector, or 1 kilobyte per sector, or even 4 or 8 kilobytes per sector, 4096 bytes, and 8192 bytes, respectively. Now, each sector, it holds part of your data. One sector cannot hold an entire file. An entire file can be split up amongst many sectors. The amount of sectors used by a file increases as the actual file size increases. Now, a sector can either hold one chunk of a file, or multiple chunks of a file, or even multiple files if you have files small enough. Such as if you have 4096 bytes per sector, and you have multiple 1 kilobyte documents in there, such as a document made with Notepad for Windows, Gedit or similar on Linux, or TextEdit on Mac. And the head's just moved again. But yeah. So the next part here is this. It's an orange piece, and it's what's known as a parking ramp. It's like a parking garage for cars, except in this case, the parking garage are these little slits in the ramp, and the cars are the read-write heads. Now, on older hard drives, such as my old 1998 Western Digital WD Caviar 4200, the heads go right onto the edge of the spindle head, but do not contact the edge of the spindle head. That is where they are, quote, parked whenever you turn the drive off. On newer drives, there is a parking ramp right here, commonly colored orange, where the heads are quote unquote parked whenever you turn the drive off, just like this. Now, you notice that they didn't snap. You notice that they didn't just snap towards the outer edge. Some drives snap the heads towards the outer edge. Some drives don't. It just depends on how the drive manufacturer has programmed the controller. Now, this ribbon cable right here connects between a little base connects between a little plastic metal and gold base, which you can, this is a metal part, the plastic and gold are on the other side. It is a, quote, friction fit, end quote, between the controller board and this base. Or pressure fit. That means that the controller board is merely pressed onto this base. Whenever the controller board is first put onto the base, it is merely sitting on top of the base until the screws holding the controller board in are screwed down. Then it is a pressure fit because the board, again, is being pressed onto the base. This ribbon cable connects the base to the read-write heads. If this cable is damaged or completely ripped off, the drive will not function. There goes that wasp, or hornet, or whatever. Yeah. Bugs are not too uncommon of a sight. Or insects, for that matter. I found a spider web recreated down there whenever I pulled out one of my spare systems to get the final smart stats from this drive and to verify no important data is contained on the drive. Now, this right here is what's known as a, quote, bearing. The bearing allows the read-write, the arm with the read-write heads and the electromagnetic coil at the back of it to move very freely. Now, on some drive models, mainly laptop hard drives, there is what's known as a, quote, headlock, end quote. That is engaged when the drive is powered down or quote, emergency parked to stop the heads from being forced back onto the platters in the event that the drive is dropped. Now, like, say, my laptop, for example, it has a laptop hard drive. If I were to unintentionally drop the laptop while it is running, the heads will, quote-unquote, do a, quote-unquote, emergency park, which is where no matter what the drive's doing, it will park the heads and engage the headlock so, to protect the drive if the laptop happens to fall. So, but this is rarely found on desktop hard drives since they are expected to be in a stationary desktop computer where the computer is far less likely to be dropped, knocked, tipped over, or otherwise have a very sharp and sudden force applied to it while the computer is running or turned off. Now, you're probably not able to see it, but right at the very edge, right around here, there is a rubber stop. This protects the read-write arm and the electromagnetic coil if the head were to suddenly move to its parking position. This prevents the head from being damaged. Oh boy, it's clinging on. It's trying to cling on to my CPU heatsink up there, that wasp. Now that's useful for that's also useful for if the drive encounters rough impacts while it is turned off, such as, wait for it to spin down, such as if I were to unintentionally knock it around and do something like that, such as bang into the power supply hard. So let's turn it back on. And as you can see, the drive survived. It's also useful for whenever a condition called the click of death is encountered. That's whenever the drive cannot calibrate correctly, so it returns the head to the parking position and then to the innermost edge of the platters very quickly in order for it to see if it cannot calibrate itself correctly. And many times when a drive fails, this is exactly what it will do. I will include an audio sample right about now. Yeah, that was off of an older drive, but it still gives you a pretty good idea of what the click of death sounds like. So before we shut the drive down and begin disassembling it, we will have a look at one last part. This part here is what's known as a filter. And it does exactly what you might expect. It filters air inside the hard drive. Now, the edge of the hard drive platters can be spinning very fast, in excess of 70 miles per hour, or highway speeds. And you might get the very rare dust particle on the platters or something like that. And when the drive spins up, that dust particle is flung off the platters and most likely winds up in the filter. If it doesn't wind up in the filter, it will eventually wind up there, since the drive circulates its own air. Now, you might be like, then why isn't there this rubber gasket around here? This rubber gasket prevents intrusion of things like dust and dirt and sand and other things into the drive, which, if that were to happen, the drive would fail, and you would most likely have to get it sent off for professional data recovery, which is quite expensive. So, I'm going to disconnect this and temporarily reattach the cover. All I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the screw that helps to stabilize what's known as the head stack, the stack of read-write heads that read and write data from the platters, and a screw to prevent the cover from spinning around. Now, here's the control board. We have now begun the disassembly phase of the drive. So, for this, I'm going to need a, Torx T6-bit for y'all following along if you're trying to use this as a disassembly guide for hard drives. That wasp is mad. Now, many controller boards have size T5, size T4, T5s, or T6 size Torx screws. If you're just watching this video for fun and entertainment purposes, then this information is irrelevant to you, or you don't need it. So, I cannot get this thing on. These are very tiny screws. Now, I was able to order a like 30-something piece security Torx and star screw bit set off of Amazon. It's usually around $28, $29, but it is Amazon Prime eligible, and it's only just $9, a savings of 60-something percent. Those savings only apply to you if you're ordering with an Amazon account that has Prime. Now, I just unscrewed the last screw from the controller board. Going back to the part where I mentioned friction and pressure fit, now just a friction fit, or barely a pressure fit. In fact, it's literally just resting on top of it. But yeah. But here's the controller board. The controller board has three major components. Let's see, what is this? This is what's known as the buffer chip. This chip stores buffer information for the drive. Buffering information is useful for if something happens, like you have a loose connection in a computer and the SATA cable just happens to go loose for like a very small amount of time. Long story short, or in layman's terms, this buffer chip makes sure when you're copying files and stuff to the drive that the data doesn't get corrupted. Right here is the CPU, the main controller. It doesn't look like much, but this little part does almost everything that this drive needs in order to operate properly, such as knowing when to turn the drive motor on and off, move the heads, and things like that. So, and this last chip here is branded Smooth, and this chip here, I believe, is responsible for reading and writing data, or moving the heads. Could be a motor controller, I don't know. And you may notice the CPU has this silicone pad on it. That's because this chip gets very hot when in use. Now, you may notice this, or you may notice this or this. One of these, let's see, the main CPU's silicone pad is quote-unquote heat-sinked to here. Heat-sink. A heat sink is what dissipates heat from a component when the component being cooled is contacted to the heat sink surface. Now, these three metal lines, these power the motor, the spindle motor. Now, these three pads right down here touch those three lines. There are also quote-unquote pressure fit to the controller board when the screws are screwed down. So that's an overview of the controller board. So, now, let's actually open the drive. Get this straight on camera. And for this case, you'll need a Torx T9 bit, at least for this series of drive. If you're actually disassembling it. If you're not, then this information is irrelevant. You can get this same bit from that toolkit that I mentioned. I'll have a link to that down in the video description. So, cover is now off the drive. So, here's the filter. This is what filters the air in the hard drive. Next, we are going to remove this top magnet. I'm going to need a size T6 bit for this. And going to pry up to remove that magnet. Oops. Can't get that off right now. Okay, that's getting close. Oh my gosh, holy heck. It's mad. I'm just gonna watch it tire itself out. It's really mad. Yeah, if that thing gets up, I'm gonna vacate the room, and I may not even bother to stop the camcorder. Oh my gosh, that was hard to get off. Now these are very strong magnets. If you do take apart a hard drive, consider saving these. But do not ever put these around the hard drive you care about, because you will corrupt the drive and you will not be able to fix it. You will have to replace the drive. So, the next thing I want to do you want to do if you're disassembling a drive is get some kind of a surface to rest the corner on. Now, this is not a data recovery how-to or anything. This is just take apart a drive for fun. You need that T9 bit again. This hole down here, you want to puncture that. Get your T9 bit in there. And unscrew that. It should be unscrewed. And yes, it is. Oh, my dad just playing a game. So, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the parking head. Again, T9 size Torx bit. Now I'm going to need to unscrew that a little bit more. And there it is. It's out. It's unscrewed. Now, next thing you want to do is unscrew the two screws holding this base in. size T6 in this case. Go ahead and unscrew the two screws holding this in. Try not to get these stuck on the magnet. And gently pry up. And lift out. Now this is actually quite a heavy head and arm assembly. Hard doing this through camcorder's zoom lens. Oh, that's good. But yeah. This is the base I was talking about. These gold contacts can actually be pressed down. Now, these are the read-write heads. And this is the electromagnetic coil at the back. This right here is the bearing that allows it to move. And then this is a ribbon cable that connects the base to the read-write heads in the electromagnetic coil. I'm going to set that aside. So, now is a bit of a challenge, getting this second magnet out. Unscrew the 3 screws holding it in. See if I can't pry this out with my finger. Okay. The top magnet is the hardest. That's because it's attracted to this bottom magnet. Whoa, okay. You just fell behind my computer repair desk. Epic fail. Well, don't have to worry about that thing anymore. Just fell off the window ledge, smacked the cord to my main power strip, and just fell. But yeah, this is a magnet. Neodymium also. Don't put this near hard drives you care about also. And don't get your finger between the two magnets. In fact, put them well away from each other. In fact, I'm getting a lot of dust on the platter. So, the next thing you're about to see is how a one platter stack is comprised. You want to hold the platters in place somehow while unscrewing these 3 screws, the size T6 Torx bit. In fact, instead of simulating a head crash, I may even just give you a video. I may even just stick a video of a head crash into this video. Yeah, video in a video. It's a video paradox. Yeah, that's even how that works. Yeah, after you do that, lift up on this top part. Set it aside. And there's a platter. And remove this. Horrible scratching noise. Scratching noises. There it is. And the platter's out. Now, this platter is definitely out. Yep, it's stuck. Let's see if we can point the camcorder at itself through the mirror. Yeah, that's going to result in some interesting footage. But yeah, this is the platter. Very smooth around the edge. Very smooth. It's actually kind of heavy too. Now, in laptop hard drives, this platter is usually made of glass. Do not drop a laptop hard drive platter. It will probably shatter. Now you're probably like, well, what would happen if you just put the controller board on and just started the thing up? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to fit the controller board back onto this drive and turn it on. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the 5 screws for the controller board back on. Just turn this drive on again. But yeah. It isn't. That thing's angry down there. It spooks me every time it does that. Holy heck. My God. Never heard it buzz that bassy and loud before. And it's stuck. My gosh. Well, it's actually 6 screws. Insert dull face here. But yeah, the controller board's back on the drive. Plug SATA power in and turn on. And it just runs. Yeah. So you might be like, put the platter on, put the platter on. You know, put the platter on and turn it on. Ow. Yeah. Don't try that. I even got that bug to be quiet for once. So I'm going to reattach the 3 Torx screws that hold the platter on. If I can find them, to be helpful. I can take things apart. Half the time I can't get them back together. That's too big. I swear, there were 3 screws. That's not it. It's getting angry. It's getting real angry. Are they size T9? They have been. That thing's bad. I'm vacating the room when I'm done with this video. I may have just found them. Yeah. There we go, mess with the platter. Three screws. I may have to substitute screws. You know what? Substitute screws. Since I'm not putting this dry back together anyways. That didn't work. Went through the top ring, but sure as heck didn't go through the main spindle. Very weird. Can't find those screws. My T6 bit again. It doesn't fit. Let's see. That is real angry down there. That fits. And I just put that down. That's the head, there's a spindle head screw. Yeah, the 2 other Seagates I've dissected have a single screw in the center. But yeah, it's running, and it shuts down. Probably because it can't find read-write arms to run it. Okay, you just saw me do something there. And what did you do? This is a head crash. A simulated one, to be exact. Like, say, this is the read-write arm, and that's the platters. Read-write arm drops on the contact of the platters. Exactly like that. And once those scratches get there, there's no getting them out. are permanently stuck in there, and you can feel them with your finger pretty dang good. But yeah, that's a simulated head crash on a one platter drive. Now you may think multiple platter drives are safe from head crashes, right? No. In fact, it's worse with multi-platter hard drives, because if like you have a head crash on one platter, debris from the platter that has suffered the head crash can get onto the other platters, make those heads crash, and then next thing you know, you've lost all your data in about 5 seconds. It's pretty terrifying when you actually think about that. You can also safeguard yourself so that way, in the event that you do have a drive failure, you don't lose data, and that's to back your stuff up. I mean, run to Walmart or Best Buy or something, and pick up like say you have a laptop with a 500 gigabyte hard drive in it. Go to Best Buy, Walmart, or somewhere, and pick up a 500 gigabyte Western Digital or HDST drive, or a Hitachi drive or something. Don't pick up a Samsung drive, because they're just rebranded Seagates. And don't pick up a Seagate drive, because those drives are terrible. Guaranteed death. They're going to be showing troubling signs within 2 years. Get a Western Digital or something. If you have a 1 terabyte drive, get a 1 terabyte external. Attempt to equal the amount of data you can store. If you have a computer with multiple hard drives in it, attempt to get a hard drive that matches or exceeds the amount of the capacity of all your drives in your computer combined. And then just once you get done with that, just head home and back your stuff up. It doesn't have to be super perfect. It just has to have there just need to be backups. Turn this off. But yeah, you just need to have backups, because drives will fail. Drives will fail. There's no doubt about that. I've had dud Western Digitals, and Western Digitals are pretty good drives. Yeah, dud Western Digitals. Yeah. Drives will fail. Zoom that out. Whoa, okay. But yeah. Drives will fail. There's that wasp again. But yeah, this is ZComputerGeek 010101001 here. Peace out, guys. Peace out.